Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about some news that came out earlier this week that Netflix is making a live-action Mobile Suit Gundam movie, which was pretty interesting. I will go ahead and mention first and foremost, I am not well versed in the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise. I've seen some of the series when I was younger. I want to say I saw some of Wing and Gundam Seed, but I think that's about it. I think I might have seen fragments of the original one from like 79 or whatever, so, but I'm not well versed in this franchise. But it's still something I know at least enough about on a surface level to be like, oh, that's interesting. I'm curious to see, because even like some of the articles I was reading were bringing up like, what like plot line are they going to do? Because obviously there's so many like series within it, like there's spin-offs, there's OVAs. I actually don't know if every Gundam suit, like Mobile Suit Gundam series takes place in the same timeline and universe. I don't know if it's kind of like a Final Fantasy thing of like every story, every series is its own isolated kind of thing, or is everything kind of within the same, like I don't know if it's all canon to each other. It's kind of, I'm sure some of the OVAs and stuff kind of stray away some of the side stories, but I don't, like I said, I'm not well versed in the franchise. If you are, do let me know in the comments down below. But it seems like such an interesting franchise to decide to like do a live action. It could be really interesting because obviously, like, I think when I was younger, I wasn't as into Gundam because to me, it's a very heavily political show. It's like a very like war political with a heavy science fictional angle of like, oh, we're in space and we're fighting these giant mechs. So giant mechs is cool, but at that time I was into DBZ and I'm like, this is way more action based. Mobile Suit Gundam stuff is cool, but it's like too much human stuff, which is interesting. That I think that's a complaint people have about Godzilla versus Kong, like that. They just don't like the human element. But I think this is that series because obviously some people make the reference of like, well, if you're not familiar with it, people, you know, reference like similar to, you know, Pacific Rim, except instead of like kaijus, you're fighting other. It's like I said, it's a war situation. Like it's a very heavily political storyline, obviously dramatic and political. Once again, based on the ones I've seen, I have not watched. Like I said, it's not a franchise I'm well versed in. I played like a PS2 Mobile Suit Gundam game way back in the day, but that's about it. I have not seen the more recent ones. And now that I'm older, I think I would appreciate it more, even the more political angle side of things. Well, for one, I'm more into science fiction now than I was before, but also like the political angle of things. And that, you know, I think that probably intrigued me a lot more because I watch enough political thrillers to be like, oh, I can get behind like understanding people's motivations what they do, you know, because like Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of falls in that lane as something, you know, the Captain America movies, in particular Winter Soldier, those are spy thrillers, but there's still like this political element to it that I've come to really enjoy about those and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I think now that I'm older, I would probably like appreciate a Gundam series probably more so than I would have as a kid. But that is a big question of like in the movie, like where, like will they like, because I'm sure some people are like, I just want to see mobile suits fighting. I don't know how many people are going to be like, oh, I'm all about the political angle. I don't know, you know, because I mean, I guess it depends on how the human element of stuff is handled, understanding, you know, the motivations behind people, like everyone's story, you know, like once again, it's depending on what story they're pulling from. It's probably most likely going to be something that they might pull certain aspects from other storylines and, you know, arcs and stuff like that, but they'll probably do like original stuff, like do their own story. I didn't talk about it, but it is being directed by the director who did Kong Skull Island, which I haven't seen, but it's like, oh, like, you know, it seems like, okay, you can definitely go from like Kong Skull Island to like Mobile Suit Gundam. I can kind of see that trajectory in that regard, but yeah, I'd be so curious to see what they do with it, like, because that's also that can also be a very, like, for my experience remembering for what I watched, that can also be a very depressing show because it's like characters you can get attached to, like people can get it, be inside of Gundams that explode and stuff, so like there is a lot of death that can happen, and you know, and I think that's something they could definitely play with, like making it like, oh, you get attached to these characters who aren't necessarily safe, even your hero. I mean, once again, I don't know if the animes have ever gone that far, but I know like there is a lot, you know, like, oh, a Gundam exploding, it's like, yeah, especially out in space, you're kind of done for. So you could really definitely pull on like some very dramatic moments and stuff like that for, like I said, I'd just be so curious to see what, you know, would they just come up with their own story? Would they be pulling from something specific? Like I said, what the political angle would be to it. I don't know. I just think it's, you know, such a fascinating thing. I'd love to get to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you someone who's well versed in the Mobile Suit Gundam series or franchise? If you are, let me know what you think about a live action adaptation movie. And if you're not well versed in it and you've kind of done some of your own research or even heard me talk about it now, what are your thoughts about it? I love to get to know everyone's opinions. Once again, I am someone who really enjoys mech stuff. I always have. Like I said, I think just the human stuff never really clicked with me when I was younger, but like I said, I think it will now. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.